Hi everyone, I am back with another video. It's probably gonna be a little chaotic because I got a cat out here, dog out here, baby. Hopefully he'll chill. If not, I might have to keep trying this. But this is going to be his birth story. I actually took notes while I was in labor and then I just printed them off. I took them on my phone and printed them off, and there's gonna be traffic. Sorry, my nose is running. So I will go ahead and get started. Sorry if the camera bumps, the dog walks through. I did want to write like a few notes down, but I didn't get to that. So let me take my glasses off too. I didn't get to that. So but I feel like I'll get it. He is going to be 7 weeks old tomorrow. So I'm like really, I mean, I don't know if I'm late. I don't know what the average time is to put your like birth story up that you, like, it's not a birth vlog, but it's just me telling you his birth story because we didn't vlog. So, are you gonna be a good boy? Alright, so let's see, I had my 37-week doctor's appointment on Monday, whatever date that was, the 20th, I think, July 20th. And he did check me and I was, I think, a half centimeter. No, I was 1 because I was still the same when I got there. I was 1 centimeter dilated and like 3/4 or like half or 3/4 effaced. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Oh, he's going that way. Okay. So I had that appointment and then like we scheduled for next week. And I didn't really feel any different, like whatever, but on the 22nd I have a nurse that comes, sees me. It's part of a program in my area that they go to first time moms and then they come for after you even have the baby up until 2 years. So she came and I was like, we had that appointment, there wasn't anything new, but my dog was acting really weird that day, and like my fiance's dad was over here and he's like, well, maybe she's gonna have the baby because animals can sense that. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, we had that appointment, did our normal thing, laid in bed, and like we were in bed because we both worked the next day. So I got up at like 9 to go went pee, then I believe one of our cats had gotten out, so I was coming down to check to see if she wanted back in. And I was walking, like I walked from the bathroom and then like there was this leakage of fluid. I was like, oh crap, I think my water broke. He's like, oh my god, like, he's like, no, you probably just peed yourself. No, it was my water. Like I was like, I just peed and like it's like a bloody, watery stuff. Like it's not pee. So we just got our stuff, and like he was in a panic. I'm like, don't be in a panic. I mean, we do live like a little ways away from the hospital, but I was like, don't be panicked. The baby's not gonna come in the next hour. I mean, I guess it could, but so he was all panicking and like ripping around. I was like, okay, like we don't have to rush. And I wasn't having any contractions. I mean, I guess I was, I just didn't feel them. So we got in the car and he called on the way there, like the hospital on the way there. And that was at 9 p.m. I think I did say 9 p.m. on July 22nd. And so we got to the hospital, we go in through the ER because the other door's closed or whatever. And they take me straight up. And I did have one pretty bad contraction, on the way there. But other than that, I was fine. So we got there and we go into triage. She had to check to make sure it was my water, check me in, all that stuff, because we didn't do any pre-registering at the hospital. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, we got asked quite a few, like not an overwhelming amount of questions, but like a few from her, and then another lady when I got admitted, they came and asked me a couple more, which was only a couple, wasn't much. So she did check me and it was my water, and she did check me. That was awful. Like I bawled the entire time she was checking me. It was awful. Like I got checked once at my doctor's. It wasn't pleasant, but like it wasn't that bad. And then I got checked after that and it wasn't near that bad. And part of it, I did have an epidural after that, but like that was awful. And it, like, she took forever. Like he was like, check. She was in there like digging around, and I was like, oh my God. And that was by a nurse. So they, like, they didn't really ask. There was a midwife, I believe, there. She just started me on Pitocin. Like, I guess you have, like, kind of a time limit to get the baby out when your water breaks. And I was negative for Group B strep. I did get that at my last appointment. Sorry, the dog keeps being into that. I did get checked for that at my last appointment. I was negative for that. But they started out the Pitocin. It goes by twos. So she started that like, I don't know, like 10, something like that. And like I was having contractions, but at first I didn't feel them, and then I started to feel them, and they increased it by 2, and I'm not sure how often they did that, and it goes up to like 22, I think, or 24, or 20, 22, or 24, I don't know. See, this is some of the notes I really didn't like take note of. So I got that at like 10 or whatever time that, well, probably more like 10:30, 11. And I labored, like, I mean, they checked on me, but they didn't really check me until 5 a.m. and I was still 1 centimeter, and I was 80% effaced. And I did have contractions all night. I mean, it wasn't pleasant, but like they were painful. Like I didn't cry through them. Like I kind of moaned through them, and like they were painful. Like I gripped onto something, but they weren't, like, I heard Pitocin contractions are awful, but they weren't like the worst. I mean, this is the first time I've been in labor, but they weren't the worst thing in the world. And like getting checked by that nurse was worse than the Pitocin contractions. And then like they just let me go at 9 a.m. They checked me again, and I was only at a 2, but I was 100% effaced and negative 1 station. And I was having contractions every 1 to 2 minutes. And she suggested, like, if I wanted to get the epidural, that I could get it then, like, because I was trying to wait till I was, like, further, like, they say, like, wait till you're further along, blah, 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 because then it wears off, and, like, don't get it too soon, whatever. But she's like, it'll help you. Just, I mean, if you want it, just, you can get it now. I was like, okay, fine. So I got the epidural at 9:45. That actually wasn't too bad. Like, I mean, I freaked out. Like, I'm not terrified of needles because I've had them. Sorry, there's little kids outside. Hi. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna attempt to finish this birth story. My neighbor decided to mow the grass, so here we go. And hopefully he'll go to sleep and not cry. He's getting fussy. And I didn't think I said in the beginning, I didn't really have a birth plan. All I knew was I wanted epidural, and I planned on, you know, just having a normal birth. So I didn't make a birth plan or anything going into it, and I think I said I was 37 weeks, so yeah. Keep that in mind. So I think I left off, I was getting epidural. I got that at 9:45 a.m., 12 hours after my water broke. She just said, if you're planning on getting, you can get it now. Like, that's no big deal. It'll probably help you, you know, relax during the contractions and, you know, whatever. So I went ahead and got that. Sorry, he's getting restless and I'm moving. Sorry about that. And I'm looking at these notes. So at 11, his heart rate dropped pretty significantly, I guess. And so I got put on O2. And they checked me, and I was 3 centimeters, and then they turned me on one of my sides, whatever. And I don't know if I wrote every time, but I got switched side to side quite often, or they moved me around. So 11, so then they just let me labor, you know, up the Pitocin. I don't know if it was like every hour. I can't remember. But at 4:30, they checked me. 4:30 p.m. they checked me. I was 4 centimeters. And then at 5 p.m. I can start feeling the contractions again, like in my lower stomach. So they called, and I got an extra dose of the medication. I'm trying to think of anything went on. I pretty much wrote all the main things, but like stuff went on, like They came in and switched me side to side, you know, gave me the peanut ball. You're scratching me, buddy. Stuff like that during all that time, but I pretty much just tried to sleep because, you know, I hadn't gone to sleep the night before, and I really didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all because, like, about the time I doze off, I'd have a contraction. So I just didn't get any sleep. So, and then even when I got the epidural, I just couldn't sleep, and I don't know, it was just a hot mess. So I was really tired, so I was hoping I could sleep, but that wasn't happening. So at 6 p.m., they checked me again. I was 5 centimeters, and they put internal monitors in because they're, like, his heart rate had dropped, like, it dropped off and on, not like significantly as the first time, but it just off and on. It would go down a little bit, so they wanted to put that in so they can monitor him more closely, and the contractions, because then you don't need the ones on the outside. 6:15, they suggested that they put a bag of fluids because my water had been broken, like, for, what was that, like 21 hours by now, by 6. So they suggested, like, he was maybe needed, they thought it might help him to have more fluid in there, which I didn't even know this was a thing. I don't really watch a lot of birth stories, but I never heard of them actually putting water back in. So they thought maybe he was, you know, they just thought it would be better sometimes, like, being without water. Your water, like, that's his cushion or whatever. So, and since I was only 5 centimeters, so they actually just hooked up an IV and they put that in there. So I had a catheter, I had 2 monitors coming out, and an IV going in. Like, have to get off the road. Okay, he's over there. Sorry, I have the cat and the dog out here, and it's chaotic sometimes. So I had all that in there. And an IV on the outside, and oxygen, but mainly I had stuff inside, coming out, going in, whatever the hell it was doing. Sorry, my dog is such a ding dong. She goes out in the road. So they did that. 6:30ish, the heart rate dropped really low, and, like, my fiance actually went outside for a little bit. Of course, that's when crap happens. And I'll make note, my aunt is an RN on that floor, but she wasn't in the labor part, she was in the postpartum part, but she would come over and check on me. And also, like, we could only have one person in the room until you delivered. Then you could have somebody, like, in your postpartum room, but, like, labor and delivery, you could only have one person. So my mom stayed out in the waiting room, so my fiance would go out there and, you know, update her, and my aunt would. So it was awesome that my aunt was able to be there and help. So 6:30, he went outside, and the baby's heart rate dropped, and it stayed, like, dropped. Like, a whole pile of people came rushing in. I was like, oh crap, you know, of course, when he's freaking outside, which I could have called him, but, like, there was so much going on there. It flipped me back and forth on my back, on my side, on my side, like, just flopping me all around. Gave me the O2 mask, like, all that kind of stuff. So it stayed. So they stopped the Pitocin totally, and they gave, and I wrote gave shot, but I can't remember what the heck the shot was for. I have no idea what the heck the shot, they gave me a shot for something. Oh, I don't know if it was to reverse, because he wasn't doing well on the Pitocin, you know, obviously. So they gave me that, and I know they gave me a shot, like, in my leg, but I totally forget what the heck that was for. My bad, I'm sorry. Maybe look that up, like, I don't know. And they did check me at that time, and I was still only 7 centimeters. So they let me just chill for like an hour, and then at 7:30 they started the Pitocin back up. Buddy, oh, crap, I hope you don't go off. I'm sorry, this video, like, it's all nice outside, it's like nice lighting, you know, but, you know, shit, crap goes on, and I brought the animals out with me. That was probably number one wrong choice. Anyway, I hope you bear with me and excuse this chaotic video. And there's a bug attacking me. Oh my god. At least the baby's being good. So anyway, 7:30 they started Pitocin back up, then they started clear at the bottom again. So then they, you know, up it 2 every little bit. So then between 8 and 8:30, the epidural started wearing off, and then I could feel a lot in my lower back. Like, that's like earlier it was in the lower part of my stomach. This time it was all in my like lower back and like really down low. And then his heart rate was still dropping on and off at that time. Like, it wasn't as bad as that when it stayed low. But it was dropping off and on. And my fiance, I did forget to tell you, he like came back in the middle when everybody's in there ripping around and throwing me all over the bed and everything. But anyway, and then my aunt was in there, so she kind of talked to him, because I really couldn't tell him exactly what was going on. I mean, he figured, and he did say when he was walking back the hall, he could see people running in the room, so he knew something was going on. So I couldn't really tell him, but obviously my aunt kind of stood there with him and talked to him. Anyway, that was when his heart rate wouldn't come back up. But anyway, at 8:30, it was still dropping on and off, and several people had come back in, and they had to watch it, and yeah, it was just chaotic. So I had a midwife like through the night, and then a new one came on through the day, and there's a doctor there obviously, but she, like, while they were in there with his heart rate keep dropping, and like it would go back up, but then it would go back down, he said, like, I'm really, like, you can decide if you want to hold off. And then I think they checked me around 8:30, and I had got up to an 8, because I did make it to an 8. Last thing I wrote down was a 7, but somewhere like at 8:30 they did check me, and I was an 8. But he was giving us the option, like, we can keep doing this, you know, like, you're nearing like the 24-hour mark, of course. And Buddy, oh my god, these freaking animals, I swear. Buddy. Okay, I'm back again. I thought the cat was gonna jump off the porch, and he likes, anyway, I should have let him inside. I'm sorry, this video, and I'm not refilming this, I just want to get this done. So so he gave us like the options, like, we can still keep trying, like, we'll work through it if you want to, but he's like, I'm really suggesting a C-section, because his heart rate is obviously not very stable, and like, you're, you know, not really progressing very fast. Buddy, I'm so sorry, guys. This video is such a hot mess. So anyway, we decided it was I'm so sorry. We decided that we were going to do that, because it was just like his heart rate, and it kind of turned into a slight emergency. Like, he's like, let's move. Like, it wasn't like rip out. Like, I had time to sign stuff. Like we decided this on 9, at like around 9. So I had time to sign stuff, but it was kind of an emergency. And he's like, if his heart rate's like really starts acting up, like it's gonna be like a real emergency. But he's like, we're gonna watch it. We'll, you know, we're trying to get it so where we can just, of course, load you up with the medicine and without having to put you to sleep, because if it was an emergency. So they were giving me medicine to really get me numb while I was signing stuff, and then going over everything. So, oh my gosh, I'm losing train of thought. So yes, we decided on the C-section. So it was somewhat of an emergency, not really. No, he was gonna act up. So I got everything signed, and we went back at 9:30, and he, like, the epidural, like, they numbed me up enough that I couldn't feel anything, but I was freaking out. Like, I was scared to death that I was gonna feel it. That's literally all I could think about. I was like, are they gonna tell me when they start? And they're like, yes. And I'm just like, please don't tell me when you start. But they did. They're like, okay, you know, he's gonna talk you through it, like not like every step, but like, hey, we're cutting you now or whatever. But I was like freaking out so bad that I was gonna feel something. Like, I was terrified that I was like, okay, I think I'm numb, but then maybe I wasn't numb enough for them to like cut me. Like, so that's really the only thing that I freaked out the most about was like, and I literally cried the whole time in the seat. Like, not even because like tears of joy. I was like crying while the whole surgery was going on. Like before he was even out, like I was just crying the whole time. So, but the anesthesiologists were great. They were, they were up there like walking me through it and like, you're good, talking me through it. My fiance, of course, was there. And, trying to think what else. But yeah, that's all I could think about the whole time. Like, nothing else terrified me. I was just terrified that I was going to feel it. And so I didn't. Like, there was several times there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure when they were, like, pulling him out, obviously. So he was born at 9:46, and there was no crying. And, like, my fiance didn't say anything. He was telling me this after, but he's like, he knew something was going on because he didn't cry. And, like, I was just terrified that I was still going to feel something, so I was just crying anyway. But they did, like, swing him around, like, to the side, like, for 2 seconds, and then took him, because what ended up was going on, that his heart rate was all wonky, was his cord was wrapped around his torso, and as he was descending and the further he got down and it got, smaller space, it was squeezing it, so he was getting, like, the blood flow was cutting off. So when he came out, he needed to be resuscitated, because by that time he had an APGAR. I don't know if you know the APGAR, but it's a score, like, the highest you can get is a 10 and the lowest is a 1. He was a 1. So they had to resuscitate him, like, just really quick. Like, they got him back really quick, and then he did cry. But yeah, so, like, my boyfriend didn't get to cut the cord. We didn't do any skin to skin, because then I was shaking so bad and, like, my anxiety, but they couldn't give me anything. And he's like, I'll give you something as soon as the baby's out. And then I kind of knocked out, because the next thing I knew, I was being wheeled down the hall to the recovery, and, like, my fiance was gone and whatever. And he went with the baby, I guess. And then, yeah, so he was born and needed all that. So my birth story, like, I didn't really have a plan, but that's not kind of how I planned it, or I thought how it would go. But the C-section wasn't that bad. Like I could do it again, and, like, I mean, I might still freak out because I'm still like, oh my god, I'll probably still feel something, but it won't be as bad. But it honestly wasn't terrible. I almost might rather do that than pushing, but I don't know, because I've never pushed. But, like, and the recovery probably is not that fun. Like, I'm sure the recovery for a non-C-section is way easier, obviously. But anyway, just to give you some advice, don't be completely terrified. But, I mean, I was. But, honestly, it wasn't the worst thing. And, of course, the cat just got loose. Perfect. I can't. So, yeah, and he weighed, now, keep in mind, I was 37 weeks. And let me backtrack a little bit. My whole entire pregnancy, I've had, like, 7 ultrasounds for various reasons. I'm not going to get into them. I'm sure I've talked about them in my pregnancy updates. I've had, like, 7 total for various reasons. And he always measured at least a week or 2 ahead. And then my last one, which I had at 34 weeks, they're like, oh my gosh, he's really big, he has a big head, like, he's gonna be a big boy. Then they did, like, a really quick ultrasound when I got to the hospital, like, and they got me in my room before everything started, and, like, it was just the bedside one, so it wasn't very good, but the midwife's like, oh, he's small, he'll be, you're only 37 weeks, he's not big. And I'm like, okay, I've been told that he's big the whole entire time, but okay, we'll see. So 37 weeks, and let's see, was I gonna say something else? But yeah, he's been measuring big the whole time. So he comes out, he's 9 pounds 3 ounces, 37 weeks. So there's that, and he's 20 inches long. And yeah, so not sure what he would have been if I would have went. And my doctor was not planning on inducing me at all. Like, I mean, maybe like closer to 40 weeks, but no. Because I asked him, like, will you induce, since he's measuring big? Nope. So I don't know what he would have been if I would have went on my own. But luckily, my body at least knew how to kickstart labor. And they said, like, if I happen to have another baby, like, I could still obviously do it naturally. Like, because I got to 8 centimeters, but it was just, like, luckily we decided on him, or on a C-section, because he would have, like, he probably would have died if we would have kept, like, if I pushed and he just, like, because that cord would have just kept squeezing as he came down, because it wasn't around his head or neck necessarily, it was around his torso, like his body. So yeah, they anyway, the after part didn't really go as planned. So like I said, he didn't get to cut the cord, but he's like, I didn't even want anything to do with that cord because it almost killed him. So there's that. He's not heartbroken over it, I guess. So so I got back to my room, and I was honestly kind of out of it. I'll put some pictures in at the end here. I was honestly kind of out of it, and yeah. And they had to monitor his sugars since he was a bigger baby. They had to give him formula. They gave him formula once while I was in recovery, and then he didn't get any the whole time. Like, his sugars, like, they went down. They had to check him 3 times before each feeding, like the first 3 feedings, and the one was kind of cutting it close, but they let him go. Otherwise, they would have gave him formula or whatever, I don't know, or taken him, whatever. So he breastfed, like, no problem, latched on, like, because they don't have a lactation consultant at my hospital. It's just the nurses kind of helping you. So I kind of just winged it. Like, the first nurse, she was real good and helped me really get him latched on, and then the second one kind of, like, supervised a little bit, and then after that, I mean, if I asked, they would have helped, but he did really good, it seemed. So there's that. I'm trying to think what else. We were in the hospital. We went in on the 22nd. He was born on the 23rd, obviously. We went in on the 22nd, which was a Thursday night, and he was born Friday night, and we went home Monday morning. So yeah, that's his birth story. It was a little traumatic at the end, but honestly, it wasn't, like, I was honestly kind of terrified of labor, but honestly, it wasn't terrible for me. Like, I survived the Pitocin contractions, and I had all kinds of stuff going on, but hey, it's a little traumatic, but don't, like, I'm just giving you my insight. Like, don't be totally terrified. I mean, everybody's is different. Like, some people can tolerate pain better, some can't, so, you know, that's fine. That's how it is. But, like, if you're terrified, don't maybe be as terrified if you want to take it from me, because I was honestly kind of terrified. But yeah, so it was honestly a pretty positive birth story. Like, as far as it goes, it was just a little traumatic at the end, but he's happy, healthy baby, and he's here safely. The doctor was awesome. So yeah, hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. I probably am, but what are you gonna do? So I will post some pictures of him, mostly, I guess, and at the end there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this helped. I know it was a disaster of all kinds, but hopefully you got something out of it, enjoyed it, whatever. Thank you guys for watching, and if you did like it, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to follow along on my channel, and I will see you on the next one.